Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Life's Playbook podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is season 5, episode 9 of the Life's Playbook podcast. This is season 5, episode 9. For those of you who are new to the Life's Playbook podcast, I am the host, Quinn Jackson. It's just me today. My co-host could not join me today. I do have a co-host. So y'all gonna have to deal with me today. And this is gonna be a spicy episode in my opinion. This is gonna be a spicy episode, so y'all get ready because I got at least one hot take, and we're gonna talk about all of the signings and whatnot that kind of went down. Yes, I know I'm a little late to the party at this point, talking about some of them, but we're gonna mainly talk about the signings and there's one specific NFL related hot take that I have for this upcoming season. So, that's what we're going to talk about today, so buckle up. It's going to get spicy. Before we get to the hot take, we're going to talk about all of the signings. So, I'm going to specifically talk about, TJ getting his massive contract yesterday. We're going to talk about Dame returning back home. We're going to talk about Bradley Beal to the Clippers. And I'll briefly talk about Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner both getting their bags, respectfully. And I know I'm a little late to the party on that, on those two signings as well, but I'm going to talk about them. So, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Before we get into today's episode, make sure to download Prize Picks, the most elite sports fantasy app. Also, if you are a new fan of the show or a long-time viewer who hasn't yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, I encourage you now more than ever to subscribe to the YouTube channel as it is approaching 1K subscribers. So, if you guys want to help bust the show through another huge milestone, subscribe now and let's get that 1K mark out of the way, as well as follow the Life's Playbook podcast on every other social media platform. The label is still the same across all social media platforms. Let's get those accounts up as well. And really quickly on the Instagram account, still have not been able to get the old account up and running, and I'm still currently trying to find a workaround to create possibly a new podcast account on Insta. So stay tuned for that. There shall be more news later on about the IG account. But without further ado, let's start with signing number 1, and that is obviously the TJ Watt signing. Well, we knew it was coming. There were talks about TJ, and there was frustration in the front office with Pittsburgh and TJ about whether there's going to be a deal done or whether he's going to walk or not. And this was kind of looming around for a long time in this offseason. And now the Steelers finally buckled down and got something done. Took you long enough, Steelers fans. Took you long enough, Steelers. You had to copy and paste what Myles Garrett did just to keep TJ. Now, I am a Browns fan, obviously, and I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that TJ Watt didn't deserve every penny that he got. It's a 3-year, $123 million contract, which yet again makes him the highest non-quarterback player in the league. I think that was last held by Jamar Chase when he got paid. Now it's TJ Watt. So TJ Watt is now the reigning highest non-quarterback player in the league, making the most monies. Not going to say he doesn't deserve it, because he definitely does. He has been on a slight decline, I would say, as of recent. But nothing too major. So I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve it, because he does. He's on equal footing. Obviously, I'm a Browns fan, so I think Myles Garrett is tenfold better. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, TJ doesn't deserve a Myles Garrett type contract, because realistically, that's not the case. He did deserve this contract. The Steelers needed to keep him. The Steelers knew they needed to keep him. Let's get that out the way. They knew they needed to keep him. Otherwise, they might be chopped. So, hey, as a Browns fan, Steelers, congrats on keeping your Hall of Fame player happy and satisfied. and making him the highest paid dude in the league, non-quarterback in the league, that is. I don't want to say dude because I don't know the whole stats behind who has the highest paid contract in the league in general. So I'll just stick with the non-quarterback. But congratulations, Pittsburgh! You guys buckled down and you got TJ on a 3-year deal. He'll go down as a Steelers legend, and he's a for sure Hall of Famer. Not better than Myles Garrett. I'll stick by that till the day I die. Yes, call it bias, but both Myles and TJ deserve the contracts that they got because they continue to produce year after year, and they continue to dominate the DPOY finalist boards every year. So, good job, Steelers. Good job, Steelers. You guys finally got something done. This kind of going off topic before we talk about the Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner signings. What does this kind of in some sense, if we're just talking AFC only, AFC North only specifically, this kind of hurts the Bengals in a way. And the TJ Watt signing kind of hurts the Bengals because Trey Hendrickson is I'm not gonna say he's Myles Garrett caliber or TJ Watt caliber because I think he's arguably the worst. Okay, maybe not the worst. That's too harsh of a word. He's not the best pass rusher in the AFC North. He's the third best pass rusher in the AFC North. If I'm lowballing the Ravens edge rusher, Ravens fans, you guys can come at me, but I think Trey Hendrickson is the third best pass rusher in the AFC North. Again, this is only talking about AFC North. This isn't talking about the league in general, just AFC North talk. The TJ Watt signing, and I guess the Myles Garrett signing as well, kind of hurts the Bengals because now that Hendrickson has seen Myles and TJ both get monster contracts, and they were both coming off of good years, Myles and TJ. Hendrickson came off an arguably better year than both of them, and now he's probably looking at those two contracts. He's looking at the Bengals front office, and he's thinking, if those two guys can get paid that much money, and by the way, they're both older than Trey, I'm pretty sure. Myles and TJ are both older than Trey. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Trey's probably looking at those two contracts, and he's thinking to himself, if those two guys, my rivals, got contracts that big, I deserve at least a penny short than what they got. I deserve at least a penny short than what they got. Now, whether the Bengals give that to them or not remains to be seen. But I'm just here to tell you that this contract, in hindsight, it does hurt the Bengals in that sense. It hurts the Bengals in that sense because now they got to try to up TJ's contract. And I think Hendrickson is worth that. I think he's worth maybe a little less than TJ and Myles, but he's definitely worth a pretty penny. All right, Hendrickson isn't a scrub. He's definitely worth a pretty penny. We know the Bengals are cheap and they haven't gotten the job done. They haven't settled on an agreement yet, but they got to do it at some point. And I think with Myles and TJ dominating the boards like that and contracts, I think Hendrickson's going to look for something similar, if not a slightly lower contract, lower pay than those two guys. And whether the Bengals are willing to average that out, if not pay that, remains to be seen. But just wanted to throw that out there because I do think this indirectly hurts the Bengals in terms of like signing and front office politics, if you may. So, I wanted to throw that out there. Let's talk about the Sauce Gardner and the Garrett Wilson signings. I forgot the overall numbers on both of those guys, their contracts, because we did get the news a few days back. And again, I am kind of late on talking about this. But overall, I think they're both great signings. Both of them are worthy of the contracts that they got. Sauce, you could argue maybe he should have gotten paid a penny less, because he has had a somewhat of a decline these past couple of years, but I don't think it's a major decline. And if you're one of those people that is thinking Sauce didn't deserve the contract that he got, you're crazy. Sauce is still him. He deserves a contract like that. whether you could make the argument he doesn't deserve to be paid higher than PS2, and PS2 is the reigning DPOY, and he is the best corner in the league. So you could make the argument that he doesn't deserve to get paid that much money over PS2. I'm not going to make that argument because I got a lot more to get through. I am going to say that they were both good contracts, Garrett Wilson's and Sauce's. They will. They both will I'm pretty sure Sauce is going to have a bounce back season for sure. And Garrett Wilson, he's still Himothy for the Jets. I think he'll continue to be Himothy for the Jets for a long time. They locked them both down. Sauce is going to lock up your favorite wide receiver, and Garrett Wilson is going to route up your favorite DB. So, I know I'm a little late talking about those signings, but I think overall they were good, they were necessary, and I think they were both worthy of the contracts that they got. So, Jets, good job on locking down two of your star players on both sides of the football. That brings us to the NBA. We gonna get the Dame and the Bradley Beal situations out of the way because I'm gonna be honest. Let's start with Dame. Uh, he got bought out, so they basically paid him to get off the Suns. Hey, money is money, and now he's with the Clippers, I believe, for 2 years, $11 million. So they got him for very cheap. The Clippers doesn't move this, at least to me personally. This doesn't move the Clippers needle at all. Um, Bradley Beal, he's kind of. I'm gonna be the first to say it if you haven't heard it already. I think Bradley Beal, quite honestly, is approaching his final days, his final years. I don't think he moves the needle at all for the Clippers. And go ahead and debate me in the comments below. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the Bradley Beal move. Maybe if if you're a Clippers fan, let me know if he really does move the needle for your team. I personally think he doesn't. The Suns knew he didn't move the needle for their teams, so they booted him out. I don't think the Clippers are any better. They're not. They're really not any worse either. Plus, they got him for cheap, so they don't really have to worry about money with him. So overall, I would give this a solid C, C plus. This is a C plus move for the Clippers. Bradley Beal is a bucket when he's on the field, or court, excuse me, when he's on the court. He's a bucket. Defense, he's a little rocky there, but he's a bucket nonetheless. And when he's playing, he'll give you some good nights. Um, Again, I just personally don't think that he moves the needle that much for the Clippers. Again, I don't think the Clippers got worse at all. I think they pretty much stayed the same. But the Suns knew that it was time to break that trio up. I knew it. I knew it. I knew way back before the playoffs even started that it was time to break that trio up, and that's what they did. So this is now D Book's team yet again. It's going to be D Book. It's going to be Jalen Green, and whoever the next man up over there is, they gon' run the show in Phoenix. It's going to be interesting watching that Phoenix team as they're pretty much revamped, so to speak. I'll be tuned in closely to watch the Suns and see how Devin Booker. I know Devin Booker's going to perform at an all-star level. He's been performing at an all-star level since he stepped into the league. I will specifically be watching Jalen Green because he's under a lot of heat after his past playoffs and his playoff performance. So I'll specifically be watching Jalen Green in his new uniform. So if you are a Clippers fan and a Suns fan, obviously if you're a Suns fan, I know you got to be relieved of getting rid of Bradley Beal. But if you're a Clippers fan, let me know in the comments down below if maybe I'm downplaying Bradley Beal a little too much. Let me know down below if you like the trade, or not trade, the signing, or if you don't like the signing. Having said that, that brings us to the biggest NBA signing of the day, and arguably the biggest, besides the TJ Watt move, the biggest signing of the NBA offseason. Dame time got waived by the Bucks, as we all know, was floating around a free agent. Dame is returning home. He's returning back to Portland. I think it was a 3 year. I forgot the amount, but I know I think the years on the contract were 3. He's going back home. Now, this is a great move for the Blazers. This is a great move on paper for the Blazers. There's only one problem. And that problem is he's not going to play because he's injured and he's probably going to miss some majority of the upcoming season. So it's still a great move. The problem is we're just probably not going to see a lot of him because he's still recovering from an injury. So there's that. So I wouldn't go too berserk. If you're not a Blazers fan, I wouldn't go too berserk about that move because we're probably not going to see a lot of him because he's still battling injury. If you are a Blazer fan, though, I know you're rejoicing to the heavens because your savior has returned, the prince has returned, the prodigal son has returned back to his city. I like the move. I think this is a solid. I'm gonna say B move. I'm not gonna say B plus. I think this is a solid B move because mainly because the injury history is there. We're probably not going to see a whole lot of Dame this coming season because of it. And these last 3 years with Portland are probably going to be Dame's last few years. AKA, I think Dame is approaching his last limb as well as I think Bradley Beal is. So Dame is probably going to retire a Blazer. Maybe I'm calling his retirement a little too early than I should be, but I mean, hey, if you're a Blazer fan still, you should be rejoicing to the heavens that Dame is coming back. I like the move. It's a solid B. Um, they got a good team. Portland in general has a good young squad building, rising through the ashes. So it's not like the old Blazer teams that Dame had, where there wasn't a lot of chemistry, nothing was really working. Dame's actually going to have a team that, with the young guys that they have, he's actually going to have a promising team to look forward to and to play with. A lot of young guys that look promising. I will be watching that Portland team very closely this upcoming season. I'll be watching where they stand in the rankings as well as some of the standout guys that step up. So I think this is a solid B move for the Blazers. Good move. Good move bringing Dame back, and I think this was a good move for Dame on Dame's part too, going back to his city. Got a good reputation there. Good community, great fan base. I think he'll spend the last of his days in Portland. So, having said that, that brings us to the hot topic of the day, and that hot topic is my one hot take, and I only have one hot take. Don't worry, I have many hot takes on different levels of sports and college football, WNBA, and I actually that reminds me, I gotta drop a WNBA episode sometime soon. It's been a while since I talked about the WNBA, but rest assured there will be another WNBA episode coming. Anyways, yes, I have hot takes on all the sports. WNBA, women's college basketball, men's college basketball, NBA, NFL, you name it. But there's one hot take that I think needs to be precedented. I think that needs to be said. There's one hot take that I've had on my mind for some time. As y'all know me, I am a Browns fan. I watch my division rivals closely, as well as my own team closely, as well as the NFL in general closely. There's one guy in the AFC North that we love to throw the excuse card at quite frequently. Almost as frequently as we do Josh Allen when he doesn't get it done in the playoffs. However, this hot take is directed specifically towards Lamar Jackson. And yes, I know the Ravens fans are going to think I'm being disrespectful towards Lamar. In no means. I want to say this before I give what my NFL hot take is. And don't worry, this isn't my hot take of the year. I do have a hot take of the year for this upcoming NFL season, but this is a small hot take. This is a small hot take. And this is kind of I came up with this hot take based on what I've been hearing in the media and with the whole Hurts Jalen Hurts and Lamar debate and all that stuff. And I've debated some guys in my life at work about this as well. But my hot take for the AFC North for Lamar Jackson is this. Based on all of the signings that I've seen the Ravens make, based on all of the trades that I've seen the Ravens make and how well they drafted this year, I think we can all agree that on paper this is the most complete, best roster that Lamar Jackson has had. So, my hot take towards Lamar Jackson is if Lamar Jackson doesn't get the job done for whatever, no, not whatever reason, solely on his quarterback play in the playoffs. So what that means, if they lose in the playoffs based on, whatever Lamar's numbers look like, if they lose because of something Lamar did, like maybe through a game losing pick, or maybe a game losing fumble, or whatever the case may be, if the Ravens lose in the playoffs, whether it be the divisional, the first round, conference championship, if they lose because of Lamar Jackson, despite how his regular season went, we have to question Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. We have to question Lamar Jackson as a quarterback in the NFL. Specifically, as a playoff quarterback, we have to question Lamar Jackson. Now, hear me out. I know what you guys are thinking. He's got the stats. Last year was statistically the greatest season we'll probably ever see from Lamar, although I think he could top it. You could argue he should be a 3-time MVP. I think Josh Allen personally should have won it as well, and he did, and I think it was rightfully so. But I'll repeat my hot take one more time for the boys in the back room. If the Ravens don't get over either the divisional or the AFC Championship and make the Super Bowl, depending on where they land when it's all said and done, when the playoff picture is all said and done, if the Ravens do not get over either the divisional or the conference championship because of something Lamar Jackson did in the game, we have to question Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, specifically as a playoff quarterback. Now, I know what you're going to say. Lamar is top 5 in the league, arguably top 3. I think he's top 5 in the league I definitely think he's top 5 in the league for sure. I definitely think he's better than Allen and Burrow, not better than Hurts, and he's not better than Mahomes. I'm not an Eagles fan, and I'm not going to try to make this a Jalen Hurts defense, because that's not what this is about. And I am not disrespecting Lamar Jackson. However, I do think that with all the glory and all the credit that we give him as a quarterback in the regular season, we kind of use that to overshadow all of the blunders that he's had in the playoffs. And I'm here to tell you that playoffs and postseason matters, and what you do in the playoffs and the postseason matters as well. And these past years that I've watched Lamar in the playoffs, he hasn't gotten the job done. Now I get it. In 2023, he was kind of underutilized. Passed the ball a lot more than he typically does. I think he should have used his feet. And in 2024, Mark Andrews forgot how to catch. And the most pivotal moment in the game, forgot how to catch, drops the ball. We know. We know how those two stories went. But I'd just like to point this out. That in 2023, Lamar Jackson had the number 1 defense in the league on his side. This year, Lamar Jackson's coming off of his best offensive season statistically for him, and he had the number 1 offense in the league. So, having said that, those two things kind of eliminate all the excuses that we can make as to why Lamar didn't get over the divisional this year and he lost in the conference championship in 2023. In other words, I'm saying that he's had good teams in the past. He's had number 1 ranked teams in the past on his side. Again, he had the number 1 ranked defense on his side, and he had the number 1 ranked offense this season. We cannot continue to make excuses for Lamar Jackson if he does not get the job done because of something that he did. Now, I get it. Mark Andrews kind of messed it up in 24. But I also want to point this out too, because I watched that game and I saw Lamar. I saw Lamar make mistakes as well. He made mistakes as well. What, I believe he threw a pick in that game and had a fumble. Mark Andrews fumbled too. Don't get me wrong. Mark Andrews fumbled in the divisional game as well against the Bills. But I saw Lamar also make mistakes prior to Mark Andrews dropping the ball. And in the second half of that divisional game, Lamar stepped it up. He put his Superman cape on. So he showed flashes that he can still be the regular season demon in playoff format. He showed flashes that he can do that, but we can't deny that he still made mistakes in that divisional game. And yes, Mark Andrews did drop the ball, and yes, I understand that Zay Flowers wasn't present. And I actually want to talk about Zay Flowers real quick because when I bring this up a lot with some of the guys at work who I work with and other people that I talk about this with, there's been a lot of Zay Flowers and a lot of Mark Andrews downplay when it comes to talking about Lamar Jackson and, his playoff success. And when we talk about the teams, and this is more specifically talking about like when we get into the Jalen Hurts and the Lamar Jackson debate, we make up these excuses all the time that Lamar hasn't had half the team that Hurts has had. Hurts had a super team and all this and all that. And Lamar hasn't even sniffed what a super team is like. I'm here to tell you that while that's partially true, Lamar has not had like a definite super team before. I would argue that the team, the 25 Ravens that they're building right now, I would argue that that is a super team. I would argue that that is a super team. But only time will tell on that. Only time will tell on that. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is this: we cannot continue to say Lamar Jackson has bad players around him, bad teams around him, when that's clearly not the case. Again, 2023 had the best defense in the league. 2024 had the best offense in the league. We cannot continue to say that Lamar Jackson has not had good teams around him. He may not have had good teams on both sides of the ball, like the number one defense and the number one offense in the same season, but he's had the number one this or the number one that for a season, and he hasn't gotten the job done. And we got to stop the Zay Flowers and the Mark Andrews downplay, because there's a reason why Mark Andrews is still regarded as an elite tight end. He's a Pro Bowler tight end. He's still regarded as one of the best in the league. There's a reason why that is. Just because he dropped one game-winning crucial ball and the divisional round does not mean we throw away the years and years of eliteness that he has built. Mark Andrews is still elite. And personally, I still have Mark Andrews as a top 5 tight end right now in the league. Zay Flowers, I get it. He still kind of has yet to show that he can be a solid number one option for the Ravens. But 2024, he kind of put his name out there, all right? Before he got injured, he kind of put his name out there that, hey, I'm here. I am going to be the number one guy for Lamar for years to come. And I'm going to rise not only in the ranks as a wide receiver, and I personally think that he's a top 20 wide receiver right now in the league. I think Zay Flowers is a top 20 wide receiver in the league right now. You could argue he's not, but I'm going to say he is. The point is, Zay Flowers, this past season, before he got injured, he put his name out there that he is going to be the guy for the Ravens. Not to mention, that's not even half of it. That's not even half of it. We want to get into the whole super team thing. Lamar has had the second best running back in the league in Derrick Henry, who almost also ran for 2K. I get it. Saquon ran for 2K. Henry had 1,900 yards. That's a very good season. Now, I get it. That's not Saquon, but that's still Derrick Henry. We can't act like Derrick Henry's a scrub, all right? So, we can't. Overall, the point is this. When it comes to the whole, and this is kind of specifically talking about whenever we talk about Jalen Hurts in the playoffs and Lamar in the playoffs, and we talk about team for team, we can't exactly say Lamar hasn't had bad teams around him going into the playoffs. Now, we can say that about Josh Allen, because Josh Allen doesn't really have a Derrick Henry. Josh Allen doesn't really have a Mark Andrews. Josh Allen doesn't really have a Zay Flowers, although he does have Khalil Shakir And I think Khalil Shakir is going to make a name for himself one day. He showed some flashes of it last season. Hopefully, he can ride off that wave into this season. But we can say that Josh Allen hasn't exactly had great teams around him going into the playoffs. We have to stop saying that about Lamar because that's not exactly true. Lamar has had good, maybe not super teams, but he's had good teams going into the playoffs. We have to stop using that excuse as a reason as to why Lamar can't get the job done in the playoffs when that's simply not true. He's had good teams around him. He has good players around him. Derrick Henry is elite. Mark Andrews is still elite. Zay Flowers, although he's not exactly proven yet, he put his name out there that he's going to be proven. And had he not got injured, I think he definitely would have been a game changer for the Ravens, and not only the divisional round, but for the whole playoffs in general. So, Zay Flowers is not a bum. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they do not know football. And they certainly don't know the NFL, nor have they watched Zay Flowers at all. He's not a bum. Mark Andrews is not a bum just because he dropped, I get it, the most crucial catch of the game. Mark Andrews is not a bum. So, Lamar, get the job done. There should be, and I'm saying this right now, before I close out today's episode, I'm saying this right now. There should be no, and I'm personally not making any excuses. There should be no excuses as to why the Ravens do not make the Super Bowl with the team that they are lining up for Lamar right now. Jair Alexander, they're going to have a very good defense. They will have a very good offense once everybody's back and healthy. They're going to have a solid offensive line. They've always had a solid to good coaching staff. There should be no excuses as to why Lamar Jackson does not at least make the conference championship, if not a Super Bowl appearance. If he doesn't do it, and if it's because of something that he did, I will have questions for Lamar Jackson at the end of the 2025 season, and I will be questioning him as a quarterback, specifically as a playoff quarterback in the 2026 offseason. So, that is my NFL AFC North hot take, one of my very many hot takes. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think of my hot take, some of the points that I brought up, as well as your thoughts on all of the other signings and whatnot. With that being said, this has been Season 5, Episode 9 of the Life's Playbook podcast. I will catch you guys for Season 5, Episode 10 of the Life's Playbook podcast. Till then, peace out.